As a songwriter, I get to work on it all the time. And part of working on the song all the time is part of thinking in terms of the muse. In my case, it would be, being on a higher vibration of hopefully of cosmic energy that involves being creative and positive. I tried to do this idea in 2000. I was unhappy with what was going on in my vibrational life and the other thing I was doing. I committed the cardinal sin of not changing my perspective about what it is. You know what I'm saying? I went with the old model that I knew. That old model was, okay, you get a record deal, you write some songs, demo them, get a record deal, put a band together, put the record out, go tour, and then you go home, and no one cares. But luckily, in the interim, I opened my mind to a lot of different stuff. I think part of it is just recognizing when something shows itself to you that's a good idea. The last few years of being in the Black Crowes were really not fulfilling for me artistically. So I'm writing a lot of songs. I'm trying to get better at guitar. And I have Adam with me in the band. So we start working on songs in hotel rooms on days off, and I start, putting some focus into it. And the whole thing was, wow, when I started the New Earth Mud project, I had half a band in England, a guy over here, a dude in Texas, sound man in France. It was ridiculous, it was just naive. So in this case, I was like, if I had to start over, what would it be? And I was like, you still could start a local band. I put my name in it. We can jump in line occasionally, hopefully. But that was the idea, and not to do records, not to do recordings, not to do any interviews, not to really even we did one photograph with a friend. It was like, we're going to go out on the road and see what happens. So we packed up a van, and for 9 weeks, just us and Brian, our tour manager, we loaded our own gear. We, set it up, played these clubs, songs no one's ever heard, 2 sets a night, and it kind of planted the seed, but we all sat around and blew warm air on it and incubated it for 9 weeks. And I think we were impressed with what's the sprout, And then, of course, the culture of jam band America and the influence of Grateful Dead culture, which includes a lot of punk sort of ethos as well in terms of DIY. To me, it's like, why take on the financial responsibility and burden of others' opinions with a record deal when we're capable of putting all this new music out and just kind of having it filter out through the, digital realms. Super visceral instrument for me. Well, I was always into roots music, whether it's, Sonny Boy Williamson or whatever. And then I found myself as a front person in this rock band. And then when we were kids, we opened for Aerosmith, and Steven Tyler gave me the first harmonica, and he's like, if you think you're going to be Mick Jagger, you're going to have to learn to play this. He showed me around a little bit, and then I kind of took it from there. And harmonica's like anything else, like blues, Sonny Terry sounds different than, to me, the best one, of course, is Little Walter. But then you have someone like Toots Thielemans who does all these, he's almost beyond belief. On records and stuff, I like to play harp through a bullet mic, but really the way I like it is this harp sounds the best just on a Shure 57 or whatever. If you're not creating a nice tone with what you're doing in front of it, then everything else, it's cool, but I feel a connection to when I play it as a singer and what I want to do is best fitted to just keep it simple. It's the same sort of idea of, I was in a big rock band, and all the big rock bands, and everyone has, it's the parade of guitars, like, ooh, look at this. And then for the next song, a guy runs out and hands another one, ooh, look at this. Then the next song, a guy hands out another one. And that's cool, and people are proud of their guitars, and they all sound cool. But in the same way, now that I'm a guitar player, I just want to play one guitar all night. And I like to think I could be more expressive on one instrument instead of relying on other things. If I have one thing that can do many things with my rudimentary guitar playing. But that's where I would conceptualize what I want to do. I was with a guy in Fairfax, California. They have this little Italian restaurant where all the locals go and jam on Saturday nights, but it could be a lady playing a zither, and then a guy on this, and a tuba player, and like a piano player. But this guy came in and like was playing like not 2 steps down, with like another, like he was playing in different keys over different stuff, and he was like, "That's what Little Walter's doing on some of this," and I was like, I haven't even attempted that stuff, which I really want to, But again, we're not a blues band, so I pick my moments to play harmonica, and they should be, when if I play harmonica once or twice, 3 times in a show, those should be really exciting. One thing about, I think, playing harmonica and it being lost in like a rock and roll context is it's exciting. Like people like harmonica, and I think they like it because of what we're talking about. It's close to singing. One thing about music that I've always enjoyed is there's no rules, there's no dogma. There's just, rhythm and harmony and poetical content that, you know what I mean? Or whatever you know what I'm saying? It could be anything from minimalist electronic composers of mid-century to Migos, you know what I mean? Whatever. I think we went from a fairly more darker sort of sound and theming electric record with more funk and like electronic influence in a way, to something way earthier. Where we could go could be a lot of different things, Like I still want to find a more oddly some stranger music that we haven't been exploring because we've been writing songs. But every time I say that, I look down on my notebook, or I look on my little voice memos, and I've written like, I'm like Buck Owens over here. You know what I mean? I don't know. I want to be in Gentle Giant, but it comes out like country music. Well, I think what you see about streaming and what, the real impetus behind the vinyl sort of resurgence is like the same people that started Napster and all that stuff, hipsters, And I think they started to realize that streaming's great and, but I don't have anything. I've been collecting records since I was 12 years old. Like, I have those things. It might not mean anything to you, but there's a difference between something floating around in the ether and that's a rare record, and you don't have it. I have it. That's what makes dorks collectors. The adventure is out there. I mean, and I'm 50 years old, so I'm not integrated into technology, so I'm not as interested in it as some kid who doesn't know about the olden days. So, I'm victim to that too. But I'm fine being an anachronism. I play a harmonica from the late 19th century. Go, kids, go buy harmonicas. There you go. See? Never took a lesson.